Anita, new details are emerging about the commencement speaker at the City University of New York who used the stage to repeatedly slam Israel. According to a new report, activist Fatima Mohammed has an extensive history of making anti-Semitic remarks on social media. But it was her speech in front of the graduating class of CUNY Law last month that has some calling for the school to lose billions of dollars in federal funding. Listen here.
An institution that continues to fail us, that continues to train and cooperate with the fascist NYPD. May the rage that fills this auditorium dance in the hallways of our elementary schools. May it be the fuel for the fight against capitalism, racism, imperialism, and Zionism around the world. Those who need our protection, they will carry this revolution. The revolution that lives so loudly despite not being televised.
New York Congressman Mike Lawler is working on legislation to pull government dollars from colleges promoting anti-Semitism, and he joins us now. Congressman, that wasn't the part of the speech that we played just there that really was anti-Semitic in its nature. It was this part of the speech. Let's listen here.
Israel continues to indiscriminately rain bullets and bombs on worshipers, murdering the old, the young, attacking even funerals and graveyards, as it encourages lynch mobs to target Palestinian homes and businesses, as it imprisons its children.
Let me get your reaction to what she said.
Well, you know, John, in 2009, I graduated from Manhattan College. I was the valedictorian of my class. I spoke at my college graduation. I gave a message that was hopeful, that was optimistic, that was focused on how my fellow graduates could impact the future of our country. What we heard was just a diatribe of hatred, anti-Semitism at its worst, and really it is just shameful that CUNY allowed her to take the stage and frankly ruin the graduation for her fellow graduates. And this is why I've introduced legislation that would hold these institutions accountable. You look last year, UC Berkeley was going to allow an anti-Semitic event on its campus. Here you have a speech. She's promoting the BDS movement, which is anti-Semitic to its core. They do not deserve federal dollars, federal taxpayer funds to promote this nonsense. And so that is why we've introduced legislation, and I'm going to push for its passage, to strip any federal dollars for colleges and universities that allow for, promote, or engage in anti-Semitic behavior on college campuses. It has to stop.
You introduced that bill earlier today. It's call for number 3 here. The bill's very simple. It's called the Stop Anti-Semitism on College Campuses Act. It says the institution will not authorize, facilitate, provide funding for, or otherwise support any event promoting anti-Semitism on campus. You are threatening to pull federal funding for student loans and other grants. What's really interesting about this and shocking about this wasn't some event that was being hosted by some fringe campus group that had the support of CUNY. This was the commencement address at the School of Law from a person who, as we pointed out at the very top of this, is well known for posting anti-Semitic views on social media. How did she become the commencement speaker?
Well, that's my question. I mean, when I was chosen as commencement speaker for Manhattan College, I had to show them my speech. I went through it with them, and they understood, exactly the message that I was delivering. The fact that CUNY allowed her to take the stage and spew anti-Semitic diatribes and just pure hatred is insane. We've seen a rapid rise in the number of anti-Semitic hate crimes in New York and across the country, and a failure to act by many folks in New York. There's been a 99% of these cases have not been prosecuted. When you allow this to occur, you're allowing that anti-Semitism to run deep in the veins of America, and it must be rooted out.
You're not the only person who was struck negatively by this speech. So was Mayor Eric Adams of the city of New York. Here's what he said in response.
If I was on that stage when those comments were made, I would have stood up and denounced them immediately, because we cannot allow it to happen. The silence that we are seeing in the midst of the hate we are experiencing will never be the silence that will be in City Hall as long as I'm the mayor of New York City. That is not acceptable.
This apparently is the second year in a row that the law school's commencement speaker has engaged in anti-Semitic rhetoric. The City University of New York seems to be making a habit of this, Congressman.
Look, these institutions are becoming breeding grounds for groupthink and hatred. And obviously, you saw the anti-Semitic rhetoric, but also the hatred of law enforcement, of the NYPD, calling them fascists. Yep. The NYPD is an entity that keeps New York City residents safe and ensures that she has the right to spew her anti-Semitic diatribes. But the bottom line is American taxpayers shouldn't have to fund it. And we need to crack down on this. We need to stop these institutions from breeding such hatred and such rhetoric that is destructive to our nation.
Let me just pin you down on one thing, because you just said a couple of things that seem to be at odds with each other. You said that the NYPD protects her right to spew anti-Semitic hatred, but then at the same time you're saying can't allow this to happen at places like CUNY. How do you reconcile those two things?
Look, you have the right to do it, but we don't have to fund it. And these institutions take federal dollars. They should not be promoting or promulgating events that promote this. And so the point of this is to not interfere with someone's First Amendment rights, but to crack down on the use of federal taxpayer dollars to promote such hateful rhetoric and speech. And that is where we all have an obligation to speak out and denounce it and ensure that taxpayer money is not used to fund it.
All right, CUNY got recently $12 million in federal funding, so your intent is to hit them in the pocketbook. We'll see how they respond. Congressman Mike Lawler, always good to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you.